back, everybody. It is the Working Brother back at you with another talk. Yet again, George McMillan III. George, welcome back.
Welcome. I'm glad to be here.
This is a little bit of an impromptu recording. I just finished the last recording, as people might be able to tell with my shirt. And I messaged George and I was like, hey, you around? You want to record? And he was like, yeah, sure. So here we are. It is the 20th of the 7th. And we're going to do a little bit more of an update on conspiracy theories and jokes surrounding what happened to Trump when loud noises were heard and he fell.
Yeah.
George, I have to compliment you. People, first of all, said that you've become funnier, so that's good.
I'm working on my sense of humor.
That's good. It's crucial to have a sense of humor in times like these. For people who are new here, this is a comedy show. For people who are not new here, leave a comment. George likes comments. Also, Citizen 1001, I'm shocked that you're shocked. Thank you for this meme. This will be used more or less every time George comes on, I believe, from now on.
Yeah.
George, you sent a couple of videos, and you have a couple of things that you wanted to point out to people. Do you want to do Fox News first?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Some other things are coming out, like the shooter had 3 encrypted accounts overseas. At the same time, we're having an Iranian plot. So, I mean, I think this is going to go much broader, much deeper. But
3 accounts abroad, Iranian plot. Tell us more, George.
Yeah. I mean, it's just really odd because you have a 20-year-old kid that's just got a basic job at and he's got these overseas accounts. He doesn't travel. He's got no reason for him.
Well, so what do they mean by overseas accounts? Is that like crypto? Is that an overseas account?
Oh, yeah, they're offshore accounts. They're not in the United States. Where they are, they didn't say, but apparently they can't get into his phone for some reason, and he's using all encrypted apps. Yeah, well, unlike Gonzalo, he's actually tech savvy. So he's probably been watching those how to hack and how to keep from getting videos, like you should, tell you the truth.
Or maybe he was handed all his electronics, like we might get into a little bit later, right?
Well, maybe he had a different kind of training and mentorship than I had.
I'm shocked.
Similar but different.
Yeah. Same kind of stuff. I just wanted to bring attention to this thing. This came across my feed. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, I think it is. U.S. Department of Homeland Security, yes. Says, in the days following the attempted assassination of former President Trump, some people have made public statements questioning the presence of women in law enforcement. George, I think that's you. They watched the mansplaining video and they were like, he's mansplaining about women in law enforcement. Anyway, these assertions are baseless and insulting. Every single day, communities big and small across our great country, women are serving in federal, state, blah, 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 blah. So, how do you feel about this gaslighting or straw man argument?
Well, I mean, Redacted shows their PT quals, and they were just abysmal. I mean, basically, there were no PT quals. I think they had all that. Even the PT quals I had to do, the women get like 2 or 3 minutes longer for the run. I mean, it's just, yeah. There's no I mean, if you have double set of standards, there's no standards.
It's not about double set of standards. We weren't attacking all women. We were specifically talking about. What did that one video call her with David Attenborough? Barbie something? Secret Service Barbie? This is where she should have been. This is where she was. It's pretty simple. It has nothing to do with, all women. First of all, let me explain some more for you, or mansplain it. And second of all, if that DHS thing is talking about Janine Giuseppe, who we discussed in the last video that we did before we knew who she was, you think that's the woman that they're talking about?
No, actually, she looked pretty fearless there, I got to say. She handled it well.
Right?
She's very well disciplined. She's well disciplined. She's well disciplined, I got to say. Yeah, she should be out there and not the other ones. Yeah. I get what you're saying with that. Yeah. Well, the other ones were what? Just Department of Homeland Security admins, basically, it looked like. No, I'm serious. It's just what it looked like.
I think you mean
you have the one that looks like she runs her mile and a half in like 30 minutes. That can't holster her weapon. You got and the two other ones literally have their handguns pointed, well, they're pointed in towards their own team members, instead of being angled down. So it's they're not full-time gun carriers. That's obvious.
You said DHS people, office clerks, but they might even be DMV, right?
Yeah, could be.
I wanted to bring this up from the liberal hive mind. Sorry to interrupt you. Did you want to say something? Go on.
No, go ahead. Go to liberal hive mind.
All right, we got liberal hive mind here. Shooter's classmate exposes the media lies about crooks. Let's see what he's got to say.
I brought up the fact that I'm Hispanic and I'm for Trump, and he said, "Well, you're Hispanic, so shouldn't you hate Trump?" And I was like, "No, he's great. I mean, like, he's a great president." And he's he called me stupid, or insinuated that I was stupid. He's like, "Well, that's kind of stupid." If he was a know-it-all. So, like, once again, if he was passionate about something, he would just talk, and acted like he knew everything, especially politics related. And he would say it in a tone that was like, "I'm better than you," in a type of way. And meanwhile, it's like, dude, we're in the same classes. You know what I mean? We're talking about the same stuff here. And whenever it comes to politics, I mean, at the end of the day, I can agree, you can disagree, I can disagree. We're like, oh, like, at that point, it doesn't matter. At that point, it's we're just starting to figure out who we like and all. But yeah, he was real smug, arrogant whenever he was talking, and whether that was his way to try to make friends or be funny, I don't know, but it got under my skin a lot.
That's the clip that the media doesn't.
That's the clip the media doesn't want you to see. We're not the media. This is a comedy show, so we're sharing it with you. George?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So he's got a lot of insecurities, so he comes across as arrogant. I don't know. They say he's bullied. I don't know. He's got parents that are counselors, so I guess they got degrees in psychology. That pretty much.
His parents are counselors?
Yeah, his parents are counselors, so they probably talk to him like a 3-year-old.
It's like layers upon layers. Like I said, the script writers for this are good. Right. The script writer of everything being God. Please explain how this makes any sense. Liberal hive mind. Another video. This is at the end, and he's talking about like this explosives. What's he talking about here, George? Like some charges, blasting charges, homemade?
Yeah. Earlier in that, they found a remote control that looked like it was rigged to detonate explosives. So he was just wondering, to set explosives off, you have to trigger the switch, which triggers a blasting cap, which triggers the main charge. So he was just explaining, you either have to buy those which are tightly controlled, and that's very difficult without a license, and then you have to, or you can make them, which is extremely dangerous. He's living at home, so he was just wondering. I guess they found some IEDs in his house or something like that.
Time out. Considering
So-
you're on the ground there in the U.S., you're probably more attuned to what's actually happening and all the like nuance of the narratives. What is the Iran story? Like, clue me in on the Iran story. Like, how is Iran involved in this? Because Iran came out and said, like, no, we choose the path of diplomacy and law.
Oh, well, the neocons have been trying to agitate for war on Iran, and the other people, most people don't understand the real causations of it and the motive of, or I should say, motive of it. The motive of it is that they cut Germany off from affordable natural gas. Their prices are skyrocketing. Their industries are going out of business. They can't stay competitive. So Russia did not break apart as the neocons thought they would with the pressure coming from Ukraine. So now the neocons are increasingly desperate to start a war with Iran so they can access the natural gas out of the Caspian Sea area and then send it to Western Europe before Western Europe collapses, because they need to do that before the AFU wins in Germany and Marine Le Pen gains more power in France. If those two things occur, the neocons are probably going to kick out NATO, go back to Russian natural gas, reignite their, reindustrialize, and probably kick NATO out. So they need a war with Iran to actually access Caspian Sea oil and gas. So they just blame Iran for everything. They blame Russia for everything. And okay, why Iran? If they can't get if they can't break Russia into 9 or 10 different republics and oblasts, and then export natural gas to Western Europe through that breakup, that means they have to access it. Well, they can't attack Russia, they can't attack China. So then the weakest link to Caspian Sea oil and gas then becomes Iran. If they can destabilize and restabilize Iran like they did in, what was it, 54 with Mossadegh when they overthrew him, then they can not only access Iranian natural oil and natural gas, you're really interested in the natural gas, but also Turkmenistan and everybody else. Well, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and and Uzbekistan. So that they're trying to do that before Europe totally collapses. And so that's why they're itching for a war with Iran.
What can I say? Like you said, they're trying to blame it on anyone else, basically. But it seems who the obvious person is. Let's hear what this
precursors and mixed his own explosives out of it and made his own electric blasting cap. Only problem is, in order to do that, it requires a very precise formula, and it's highly volatile when you're making and drying it. But I want you to look at it from a foreign actor's perspective. If you are going to be training somebody and giving them the means in order to do what this gentleman did, would you want them to have a social media platform? The answer is no.
By the way, we don't condone this guy being called a gentleman.
Because all they have to do is make one dumbass comment, and the whole thing is going to get tipped off to law enforcement. So you would want to recruit somebody like him who has been picked on in school, likely has a couple mental issues, but also has no real social media presence, and likely gets his interactions online through different platforms like, I don't know, say 4chan or Reddit. Once they've got him recruited, then they just need to talk to him. Once they're talking to him, either through emails, private messaging, whatever, right? There's a million different ways to do it. They don't even have to meet up with the guy. They can just give him a series of tasks, and then once he completes those tasks and they know he's good to go, then they can start dead dropping him the different things that he needed in order to conduct this attack. This whole thing looks shady as hell.
Again, going right back to that same point, the more information that drops, the more questions I have. So,
George, the more questions, the more information, the more I know, the more I find out, the less I know, type of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been concentrating on the shooting perspective, not what IEDs you may or may not have.
Mm-hmm.
There's not as much information because most people are focusing on the single or multiple shooter scenario. Now I'm gravitating towards a 2-shooter scenario.
Shall we review that 3D footage that you sent in?
Yeah, just hold on one second. As far as a foreign actor, and they haven't established a link. They just said that. absent a foreign actor, the default would be a domestic actor acted upon him, and that they don't talk about that at all, and the silence is deafening. So they're trying to, rather than actually investigate, it looks like they're trying to cast aspersions over to Iran, like look over here kind of a thing. So that, that's just my impression. Not that this guy's doing that. He's just commenting on what he's heard about what if Iran was involved.
Yeah. But, how would they go about it? And I wanted to get your take on his profiling of the shooter, and like how one would be selected for that, for a LIHOP thing. Everybody loves those new terms that you introduced us to here, by the way. And thanks for everybody who's bought me coffees and to the Patreons. Now go on, George. Tell us about psychologically profiling a perfect candidate for one of these events.
Well, and by the way, LIHOP and MyHop have been around for a while. I didn't invent it. It's been.
Yeah. I didn't say you invented it. I'm just saying thanks for sharing it with us. We're all enjoying the new terminology.
Yeah, I don't want to take credit for something I didn't do, right? So anyway, how to profile that? I mean, in the different, gun community groups I used to be on LinkedIn, Facebook, or whatever. Yeah, I mean, every now and then you would get somebody that would come in and say, hey man, if we're going to do some revolutionary stuff, who's going to want to be with, who's going to come with me? We got to make a stand against Obama or whoever it was. And they're clearly trolling for someone to say, yeah, right on, brother. We need to go out and do something drastic. Yeah. So they're, and you can tell it's a Fed fishing for takers. So I guess they do that in every single group. Yeah, I'm just saying how, what I see in some of the groups I'm in, but we always answer back, well, we're trying to take it, we're trying to pursue, legal means to protect the Constitution that we have to keep, the leftists who want to change it from changing it. We like the one we got. We don't want to go to the single party socialist state. So that's usually where we answer, how we answer. But yeah, if they go into different groups, you see them trolling, looking for people that are predisposed to want to go do some violence. And then I guess they get those people and then they kind of reel them in over time. I don't know how. That's, it's going to be real time consuming on somebody's part to find those people, because they're going to have to spend all day in chat groups talking to morons. So, I guess.
George, nuanced as ever.
Yeah.
What movie is this from? George, you with us?
Oh, is that Tombstone or something?
It might be. I can't remember. It looks familiar, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I guess that's Wyatt Earp or something.
Commenters, leave a message.
I lived overseas for most of the past 15 years, so there's a lot of movies I just didn't watch. And all I really watch is mostly documentaries anyway, so I don't really know. I'm not very good with movies anymore.
You're living the Truman Show, so you want to get to George Webb's first reaction on July 17th?
Okay, hello everyone. George Webb here at Butler Township. Butler Township, part of Butler County. Some of the reporting isn't getting that quite right by some of the other outlets, but this is the subset of the township that had officers at the township. I was told here today that there was other townships involved as well. Again, volunteers also involved in the townships, which makes it a tougher area of trying to pin responsibility on who actually had that outer perimeter responsibility. It's sort of, we're getting different stories, different townships in the county providing security outside the perimeter, and then you throw volunteers into the mix, and now you really have a complicated situation. But we're following up on it here. I've been told also by the folks inside here that all future press conferences will no longer be here or at the county. It's all going to be the FBI. The FBI has all of the public information releases from this point on. Of course, that's very troubling, because when we see the FBI's history here, even as evidence is coming out, this is not the same situation as the Warren Commission. This is not the same situation of the Warren Commission, where you can establish a blue ribbon committee 6 months later later, and then they can take 10 months, whatever, to come out with a thing. We're in the
Do you want to tell us what the Warren Commission is?
Oh, after JFK was shot, they had the Warren Commission to find out, to get to the bottom of it. And yeah, like you said, it took several months to get that going. And then, Earl Warren, the Supreme Court justice, was supposed to be, in charge of it. There was a lot of different people involved. It tended to be more of a cover up as the decades go by. It's nothing but a cover up.
Is it so? It's like the 9/11 report type of thing.
Oh yeah, or like the investigations on the corruption in Afghanistan and all those things.
Continue. Should we continue with this video, or did we get enough from here and just move on to the next one or the next points here?
Those reports are always just whitewashes. Okay, so Crooks apparently, Crook and George Webb does very quick raw raw reporting. He just goes collects information. Which is good because then you can analyze it at the end. In that previous video, what he was talking about, where he finished that one up, he said there seems to be like two shooters, and he says it looks like Crook shot first and then somebody else shot second. So where we're going with this at the end of the video is there's probably a professional shooter or more experienced shooter, I'll say, that shot first. Crooks probably shot second, thinking it was going to be a mass shooter exercise more than assassination operation. That's why I wanted that first George Webb video queued up.
Hold on, then let me play it out.
Electronic age here with phones and phone cameras, and of course, everything is pointing at multiple shooters. We've got new forensic evidence. You'll see this on my Substack that came out a few minutes ago. New forensic evidence that shows 11 shots, 3 guns. 11 shots and 3 guns, undeniable forensic evidence. We also have the impossibility of a shooter using 3 different weapons, but also the shooter being under fire and maybe dead. So not only is it difficult to shoot 3 different weapons if you're a shooter, but it's difficult to shoot when you're dead. So we have maybe the shooter dies at the 3rd shot. After the 3rd shot, we may have forensic evidence here now that that shooter is dead, and now a second shooter engages. So that's all.
Hard to shoot when you're dead. George is a natural comedian.
So into the mix here. Another new development here is we now know 4 different motorcycle police from Jill Biden's motorcade now have left that motorcade and went to Trump's landing of his plane at the airport and then got into the end of the motorcade for Trump. And those officers are proven to be there. We produced video evidence today of that. It's out there on the Substack as well and the Twitter. And also 2 of them are wounded. 2 of them are wounded. And then now we have a he said, she said with the motorcycle police saying that they had permission or they didn't have permission. So now we have another squishy area. And these people come right from Pittsburgh, not from here in Butler County. They come from Pittsburgh, these 4 motorcycle police. So we have that intrigue. This reminds us of the intelligence unit that was embedded inside the Dallas police, if you remember, with Jack Ruby and Jack Ruby's connections with the intelligence unit connected with the Dallas police. So there's all sorts of intrigues here. Everything ports to multiple shooters. We showed you the forensics of the line of sight and the line of fire with the 2 different shooting locations. From the forensic wounds and the forensic tragic death of Corey Comparatore. So that evidence also indicates 2 different shooters. So everything pointing to multiple shooters, everything now with the lack of response by the FBI pointing to a cover-up. This is not the same situation that we had in Dealey Plaza. This is not the same situation we had with the Warren Commission. This investigation is going to go forward with or without the FBI, and we're going to keep pressing the FBI's feet to the fire. Reporting from here in Butler Township, Butler County, Pennsylvania for Neighborhood News, George Webb.
All right. And now apparently the Wall Street Journal comes out and Trump gunmen flew drone over rally site hours before attempted assassination.
Apparently he was what George Webb reported in some of the other videos. Somebody wanted me to watch some videos, so that's why I did it. So, we went ahead and do a video on it. But apparently he was talking about he had actually been a volunteer with the place, and he was for about a year he was shooting at the Clairton shooting range and about an hour away. And
wait, we got that queued. You want me to play that as well with George Webb? George Webb on the ground, and not a lot of information at Allegheny Arms about
Allegheny.
Ron, we're at the Allegheny Gun Club for our shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you went in there and you went. You're a member. You're a good owner. We'll call it an owner. You're an owner, and you went in and acquired that. There's no shooting range here at all.
There's no shooting range here.
Yeah, and you had talked to me about Channel 11, and Channel 11 here, the local station, had said that where we were yesterday at Clarendon, he had been a member there a year.
Yeah, full year member at Allegheny at the Clarendon Gun
Club, where the DHS trains. So this is interesting because you would think the FBI and Department of Homeland Security Services, since they're training out there with him out there for a year, that they would say how long he's been a member here.
Right.
Like, when did you first come to the Allegheny Gun Club? You know, and when did your dad buy? I guess the dad bought the long gun 10 years ago. So when did he start checking it out and going over there? I think there's a lot of questions that you think they would just come forward and just say, here's the history, but they're withholding it for some reason.
Yeah, even the Secret Service director is withholding information. At least that's what it seems like.
She was very not forthcoming at all with her information. So
they're definitely trying to keep what's up on the down low for now.
Right.
You know, they're not willing to come out and be like, this is what's going on, guys.
Yeah, and with Oswald, we got everything, you know, within 48 hours. You're not old enough, but I am. But
I'm familiar with the story.
I know you are. You've lived down in Louisiana. So, but the other thing I think is kind of interesting is that they're coming out with this drone story. And you and I had gone out in Butler all week. And they said that he had droned it. He had signed up on the 7th, which is about a week before the 13th.
Right.
And then he had been out there to drone it 2 days after he had signed up on the 7th.
That's what they're saying.
Right. And then he had been out there the morning of, a couple hours before droning it. And I thought, well, that makes sense. If
George Webb, if you get to watch this video by any miracle, stop calling it droning it, because droning it has a whole new meaning these days after Ukraine, man. It's not droning it. He was observing with a drone. All right, now let's get back to George Webb.
he was a part of the volunteer security, you would want to check the
It
perimeter.
seems like he was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
At least that's why nobody was making a fuss when he was seen. At least none of the officials.
Right.
You know, the people were a little confused, but they didn't, at least in the beginning, make any big deal about it.
Right. It seems like
They said 26 minutes, right? That he was noticed before the shots rang out.
well, I think some even say he was on the roof for 20 minutes, but he was noticed up to an hour before. But my point is that how did he get a long gun in? How did he get a ladder in? This is the thing that they won't deal with. This is the subject that I put on my Substack. Is if you're the guy, and we just came out of a building with a bunch of long guns, if I came walking into a Trump thing, and remember, Iran has said they want to kill Trump that week, so there's a standing assassination order. If I came in with a long gun and said, okay, I'm ready to go to the Trump rally, what would you say?
You're crazy.
Yeah, you're not coming in with a long gun. And if I even came in with a 6-foot ladder, what would you say?
What are you up to?
Yeah,
Why do you need this ladder to watch Trump?
Right. So that they keep explaining that he droned, which is what somebody who would do volunteer security. Remember, there's a Pac-Man bite out of the security perimeter for the local police. So far, all the evidence that's been presented would also be the evidence for somebody who's part of the security team.
And if he was doing it at that time, they would have had people there, you would think, just holding the grounds down while nobody's around to make sure, nobody's setting a bomb or something crazy.
Right. You would want to do a
think he would
scan.
have been seen, obviously was seen, but you think it would have maybe raised some eyebrows. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, this is the thing about breadcrumbing information. What if he was sending that to the local security team, his team of his 10 cops that he worked with and he trained with out at Clarendon?
And there was volunteers that we don't know who those are.
Right.
So.
And we know those exist. So there's a lot of questions, but I hate this breadcrumbing of information because you could take somebody who's just doing their job, like remember the bombing in '96 in Atlanta, where this guy is the hero, Richard Jewell, and then the FBI made him out to be the bad guy because he's the one who identified the bomb. Well, that means he set the bomb. Well, not necessarily. He's doing his job to find the bomb. So this could be another Richard Jewell situation, or he could be training with another guy that we don't know about.
But no, George, you just need to wait. Because as we all know, the FBI is on the case, and soon we will have all the answers that we needed. We just have to be patient.
Right. Well,
all the answers.
like the Kennedy assassination, 60 years later, we're still waiting for information. So I want to thank you for getting me all around here in Pittsburgh, and thanks for following the local media, because 11 is on the case, I think.
Shout out to Channel 11
Yeah.
for being really on top of the story and giving us a lot of good breaks.
Yeah, and please, if you're
asking the hard questions.
Exactly.
You got to ask the hard questions, right, George?
I agree. And if he's a member out of Clarendon for a year, then when did he become a member here? And here they're not talking. So when did he become a member here? If his father bought the gun here 10 years ago, that to me says he might have come in 2 years ago. But to me, that timeline is very, very important. But that's the thing that's been suppressed. How did he get the gun in? How did he get the ladder in? The only way for me.
Who knew and when?
Yeah, the only for
and
me.
why was nothing done?
Yeah, I mean, I can see a guy who's a part of the security team bringing in a ladder. I can see a guy who's a part of the security team bringing in a gun. But explain to me how somebody they don't know gets that in there. And so that's the subject of today's Substack. So thanks very much.
You're welcome. Also, don't forget to check out George's Substack. You might get a laugh out of.
So, George?
Well, obviously, Allegheny Gun Works must be taking the Fifth Amendment, right? They got to be in on it. No, I'm pretty sure they're all kidding aside. They're probably pretty embarrassed that kid showed up. Now they don't know what to say. But they were talking. There's an outdoor range in Clarendon and people can just Google it. A lot of different agencies shoot there, so he probably became known to a lot of different people. See, that's very interesting. If he was shooting at a place where a lot of police also train, who did he run into? Who did he talk to? That should be interesting. And if he was out there a week as part of volunteer security place or personnel, that's interesting. So yeah, he definitely he was out there doing a pre-operation planning of some sort. And if he's got the cover of being a volunteer, well, I guess that's better for him, right?
Lots of questions, right?
Because to become a volunteer for that, you had to know somebody. So who did he know to become a volunteer? How did that network work?
There's a guide, in case you didn't know. WikiHow
Right.
Put up a guide. Also, I want to shout out to YouTube. YouTube, the struggle is real. YouTube, stop flagging us for no reason. George?
Did they?
Yeah, they flagged me. I like had that Trump parody video, and Trump was singing, and they flagged it like the original song, and it wasn't the original song. It was AI of Trump singing it, and they flagged it, and it's just like
for copyright strike.
Yeah, it's hilarious because it wasn't even like the real thing. Speaking of, can we do this? Brandon Herrera uploaded this.
I really
2
want to
hours
get
ago.
into the scenario.
Oh,
Go ahead.
you want to do the 3D one? Let's do 3D one before we get into the gore.
All right, go ahead. Yeah. Let's just do this because this is what I really wanted to just come on and do. Yeah, go ahead and play that one.
All right. Let me turn up the volume.
The area we're going to focus in on. Here you can see the 3 victims that were injured by gunfire and where they were standing in the bleachers. We're going to turn around and demonstrate exactly where these bullets came from. This model represents Thomas Crooks. His position can be seen here in this image, which illustrates exactly where he was. Turning around, we can see the path of all the bullets that were fired from this location.
What?
I placed a 10-foot red disc downrange to represent what an average shooter could hit easily. Now let's take a look at this first shot fired. Coming from our key location, bullet 1 grazes President Trump's ear. This is the same bullet that hits a spectator in the stands. We know this through video evidence. As President Trump is talking, the first shot rings out just after he says, "Take a look at what happened."
Something that said, "Take a look what happened."
We can see the vapor trail of a bullet strike, which is the same bullet that struck President Trump's ear a split second earlier, and this video is this location here. Back at the podium, President Trump is shot and grabs his ear, falling to the ground as more shots rang out. In total, there were 7 or 8 shots, so let's rewind and watch this at regular speed.
Take a look at what happened.
With all that gunfire, it's easy to understand how these spectators were injured, even though they were not the target, including the sole spectator who lost his life that day.
All right, George.
All right,
As we circle
I'm
around, we can see how all the paths...
Sorry,
I'm not sure
go
how
on.
I'm not sure how they've established their flight trajectory paths on this, but if it's accurate,
Mhm.
then I want
The bullets
people
were
to
hitting
notice- I want people to notice the first 3 shots. So hike it back to the first 3 shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, just play it again for the
I
first
think
3
it's
shots.
this.
What's that?
I think it's now. Yeah, there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Play it. Have the sound go off. I want people to listen.
Because she talks over it. Hold
watch
on.
this at regular speed.
Take a look at what happened.
All right. Go to. I want people to I want people to focus on that right now. All right. Now fire. Now play the rest of it.
With all that gunfire.
Stop. So she's basically going on a one gunman, two firearms. I guess because she's got the colored shots and then she's just got the black shots. The black shots are at random. The first shot is going to be right at Trump's head, but he turns his head. The second shot's going to be a follow-up shot because the guy got back on his scope and he missed. The third shot is as Trump is ducking, he's trying to hit Trump before he gets down to the ground below the podium and the protective screen that he's behind. So then go back to the previous video and go to the end, but I want you to go past that, the former Special Forces guy that's talking about the blasting caps. I want you to play the rest of that.
Hold on, that's this thing, and then let's hope I didn't close that one. Okay, I didn't. This blasting caps.
Something just isn't right.
Through emails, private messaging, whatever. Right? There's a million different ways to do it. They don't even have.
What'd you say?
Yeah. Go past that. I want you to.
This is the end of the video. Are you sure?
Yeah. Just keep on going.
The more information that drops, the more questions I have. Something just isn't right. Or as I keep saying, the whole thing is simple.
Okay, wait. Is that
No, I think it's a little earlier here.
Anything in my video. Okay, so pay close attention. We'll be right back. You guys notice anything?
No,
is that
not it.
visible?
Or is it the other video? Is it this video maybe?
No.
Video?
No. It's exactly the way the order that you sent it to me the other night.
In the meantime, I'm gonna play. Wait, let me find here. Actually, I want to find.
No, put up my slide set that's got the second story window on it.
Your slide set. Hold on, let me find that. In here, and that's gonna be quite a bit of a scroll. There we go. Open, and ta-da! This, right? This is what you wanted.
Yeah. Okay. If you have a first, okay, you're not in the George Webb video, the first one, he says Crook shot second and somebody else shot. I mean, Crook shot first, somebody else shot second. No, yeah, keep it on that. No, you wouldn't have the assassin be Crooks because he's the one that got separated from his shooting team because he wasn't a good enough shooter. So you wouldn't have Crooks making the first shot because then just keep it on. Yeah, just keep it on the windows. You wouldn't have Crooks taking the first shot at Trump. You would have your best shooter take the shot at Trump. So that's probably out of one of the windows on the second floor. Crooks had hiked up on the roof from about right there, right in that area, because he had climbed up on that hallway that goes between the buildings. He climbed up on that and then hopped over. Apparently, that's the official narrative. So you would have the shooter on the second floor shoot first. So that's an experienced shooter because he's in the scope. He's taking the first shot. Okay, the gun goes bang. There's a little bit of recoil. It's just 556. It's not big recoil. So no, just keep it on the window.
Wait, George. Wait, let me just find the beginning of the first three shots, and like these are the three shots that you're saying, like the first possibly, and maybe the one after that is coming from the first shooter, and then the black shots are the ones that you're saying are coming from, where's that slide? Here. That are coming from the other guy here, basically.
You would have your first two shots. The guy's on a scope. The guy squeezes off the ground, off the round. He looks at the scope. He's still got the trigger back. He sees that Trump is standing, that Trump had moved. So he's going to do a quick trigger reset and fire again. And then Trump is now dropping to the ground. So then he's going to do a quick trigger reset and shoot again. See, those shots are accurate and have a rhyme or a reason to them. Okay, the third shot's a little bit faster, but there's a sequence. So you can tell that guy's used to shooting at the turning targets where he's got to get a certain amount of rounds off before the target turns. So he's used to it. It's probably Crooks shooting second, because the first guy, when he misses 3 times, he's going to pack up and leave. Crooks is probably shooting the second, and he's probably told to do an active shooter mass casualty operation. So he just starts shooting randomly into the crowd. Those shots are all over the place. So I'm saying he got the shooters reversed. Now, what's confusing for the first sniper team is police are supposed to be in that other building. So what I would like to know is if they have any security camera footage on that building to see what cars were in that parking lot, what they weren't. They say that there's police in that lower building.
You want security camera footage? It's good you're on a comedy show. Yeah. You might get like 2-3 screenshots, like that parking in front of that weirdly shaped building on that funny date.
Well, anyway, there's probably, because most buildings everybody's got security cameras now, especially in parking lots. It would be really interesting, just because they say there was supposed to be police in those buildings doesn't mean there's actually police in those buildings. So it would be very interesting to see if there was actually police cars in that parking lot or not, and if so, which ones.
We might find out in the next 20 to 50 years. In any case, these are the buildings that are being talked about, and finally I managed to pause this video, and these are those buildings basically that are talked about from the perspective of the stage of the people who got shot and or Trump, who would be like here basically. And we can see here the first bullet and the second and third bullet underneath, and then we've got the random quote-unquote bullets. Now George, what George is basically saying is that the first bullet probably came this way, and the other colored bullets also came from here, which is that building basically in the background with the windows on the second floor. And the random shots from the quote-unquote shooter came from this side. Right, George? Basically.
Well, yeah, from Crook's line on the roof.
Yeah.
See, that's a one shooter, 2 weapons scenario. And people are also talking about, Mike Adams, Chris Martinson are talking. We're talking about this. There's two distinct sounds, so it favors at least a 2 weapon scenario. Well, if the professional shooters are shooting from the second story window and they're using a 20-inch barrel because they want to be more accurate, and Crooks is using a 16-inch barrel, that would account for the differences in velocity that would make the bullet sound different. If they're using a longer barrel with slightly different ammo, and Crooks is using a shorter barrel, the change of velocity would account for a change in sound.
I'm looking through this video. Brandon Herrera posted of the shooting breakdown, basically the recreation. And there's a scene where he oh, there we go, where he looks through the red dot at a target at 130 yards. And he can't get any of his crew to volunteer to have their ear shot off. So he ends up doing it with a test dummy. And this is basically like a debunking thing, because there's people who are saying that, you know, his head would have been blown apart if his ear got shot off. So let's have a look at this on the record.
That's kind of crazy. I thought it would have disappeared. Firing. Oh yeah, I think that was it. Oh yeah, that was the fucking money shot right there.
That's a perfect sim there.
How's his head still connected?
I don't know, this is crazy. I don't think a bullet actually hit him.
Like his neck's not broken. I don't...
Where did he get the glass to
I'm taking ballistic out of my name because I clearly don't understand them.
Oh, that was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Piercing. Yo.
Gratis super slow motion.
Don't get your ears pierced at Claire's.
Here you go, super slow motion of Trump's ear.
When Trump said it felt like he got hit by...
So, there's that. And we did the red dot. And you wanted to point out about this video that this is probably not the gun that the guy was shot with, right? This is the gun we identified in the meme.
Yeah, Greg Lapin was he said he had talked to some people there. It wasn't the first counter sniper team. It was the second one. From, if you're looking at Trump, it would have been, everyone's seen the picture of the counter sniper team that if you're looking at Trump would be on the left, but there was another counter sniper team on the right. And Greg Lapin said that they actually shot crooks. That would be, well, I don't know, they said 100 meters away, but I calculated the distance on Google Earth. It's 174 meters away. Yeah, there you go on that shot. And they shot that with a Knight Armament Company SR-25. It shoots a 308. People typically shoot what they call an M118 long-range round that's got a 175 grain Sierra Match King match grade bullet. That's typically what people shoot. There's other rounds. There's other match grade rounds, 168 Barnes and 155s that are also popular, but 175, a little heavier, it carries through the wind better, so they typically use that. And that's what they shot the guy with. That's not actually a 300 Win Mag. 300 Win Mag, typically they'll use the same 175 grain projectile, but it's going to be going, what you're talking about, a 762 by 51. So that's going to be a 762 by 63. You're talking about significantly more powder traveling at a couple hundred feet per second faster than the 308 based round. So yeah, that really if that impacts something, it you get an explosion of the head.
Lightly put.
Yeah.
Mind blasting, I think, is the term you were looking for. Right. George, I think we did enough of an update, right? We're done with the updates for now, right?
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to focus again. If it's two guns, two shooters, it's probably from the second window. And in that case, we would love to see if they saved the security footage of the parking lot. That would be very interesting to know.
I look forward to 4 frames of some feet. In the meantime, the last meme of today. This was brought up in chat with regards to our last movie joke from our last talk. George, thank you for making the time on this impromptu talk. Everyone who stuck around to the end, thank you. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and see you all soon.